Welcome in. It is about that time of the year. We're almost to 2025. High school football season winding down. College football, NFL is underway. We're getting to the meat of the season there. It's almost time for 7-on-7. And so DR7 thought that we would do a live show and announce where we're going to be in the 2025 season. We've got a couple new locations. But before we get into all that, let's introduce ourselves, guys, in case you're not familiar with us. Everyone knows Mump at the top of the screen there. But I'm Ben Spicer. We've got Marc Henry alongside us as well. Guys, exciting times. Excited to be joined by you guys and talk about the DR7 2025 season. But let's kind of recap 2024 a little bit. Take us through, Mump, kind of how year 3 went and what's your expectations and outlook for year 4.
Hey, Ben, thank you for having me tonight. I thought year 3 was a great year. It really helped to solidify DR7 as one of the nation's leading brands. We had some great events. We averaged about 115 teams per event. Had some of the top competition you're going to see in the nation is going to these next top schools that we was just talking about. Alabama, Miami. We get to see all those great kids. So super excited about year 3. Um, so 2023 was a great year for the DR7 platform.
Marc, you've been working hard this high school football season, covering teams around the state of Texas with the platform, which is a umbrella of the DR7 Media Network. Kind of what's your thoughts as we head into year 4, and what are you looking forward to about this upcoming season?
Man, just to get back to the grassroots part of it, if from a scouting perspective, that allows us to see, those younger age groups, and we look at them progress to from youth to middle school to high school now, and now we're starting to see some of these guys on Saturdays playing for Power Four, Power Five schools, and the NFL as well. We had a couple of guys that we've seen in the past get drafted this year, so super excited about that. Very interested to see what that West Coast looks like, that Midwest looks like up in the St. Louis area. And, we got to hit back on Florida, man. The Sunshine State is one of those states that's, always has a plethora of talent as well as Georgia and Louisiana.
Marc gave you a little teaser there of some new locations that we're going to be at. But before we get into that, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a stats guy. If you've watched any of the shows, DR Roundtable or on the DR7 Media Network, I'm all about my numbers. So last year we had 954, nearly 1,000 teams that signed up for DR7 tournaments in year 3 this past season, and 10 total tournaments, an average of 95 teams per tournament. We had 4 tournaments with over 100 teams, 7 with 80 or more teams. There were also 178 teams at the Crown National Championship from across the country. This year we will continue to expand in our number of tournaments and into new markets. But before we talk about that, let's talk about a new location for the Crown this year. That's Tom. We might as well start with the biggest and best tournament, the Crown, and it's going back to the Sunshine State, as Marc alluded to, as we will be at the Villages April 12th and 13th. That's where the best of the best will be for DR7, the Crown National Championship. And we got the chance to go to the Villages. This is a beautiful facility. As you see there on your screen, a kind of a look at the Villages. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe, first and foremost, that this was a high school campus. Mom, kind of tell us, about the Villages and just how great it is to be able to go back there for the Crown and to return to Florida, where we started in year 1 for the DR7, the Crown National Championship.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, the vision has been we want to move the Crown around the country. So we started in Florida in 2022. Our launch had a great kickoff. Still one of the largest Crown National Championships in 7-on-7 in year 1. Went back to the great state of Texas for 2 years. And, man, killed the numbers there, 180, right at 180 our second year. We had a lot of teams. We was well over, had a lot of teams that couldn't show because of some double booking. But, we wanted to bring it back to the state of Florida. Everybody loves coming to Florida. Florida's beautiful. When I got an opportunity to really get with the staff there at the Villages, and we had a chance to pivot this year and come to the Villages, I was blown away once I saw the complex. And so we had to bring it back to the state of Florida. This is probably one of the best complexes that I've been to in my tenure in the 7-on-7 space, especially for it to be a high school. The Villages is definitely a growing area. So we're super excited about being there and excited about the teams flying around from around the nation. as well as some teams who's already reached out from Canada that's going to look to come to the Crown. So the Crown is where you want to be at. If you definitely want to compete at a high level, this is the event you want to be at. So get your tickets.
Mark, you were on hand at the Villages this past year, the first time we went out there, I believe, right? So what was kind of your perspective, and what did you think about the facilities and, of course, the competition in Florida as well?
Well, I thought that this was one of those grandioso type places. This is a complex that can fit everything that we do within the DR7 tournament in one weekend. It allows us to have multiple fields, multiple age groups playing at one time, and then you get to play on the big field for the championship. Just a fabulous facility and a fabulous community, and then that Florida talent, man. Shout out to my guy Drew. We always have this argument, a healthy argument or debate, if you want to call it, about the Florida, Texas, Georgia, just competition and, talent around the country. And that bed of talent right there in that Central Florida, North Florida area is always high stakes competition. And what better place to have it at than the Villages?
You see the comment on your screen there. Drop a comment. Let us know what team you're repping. We've got our guy Javin Cheek holding it down for underdog mentality. Speaking of Florida, how about Kingdom Way 7v7 out of New York? Love that.
Oh,
We got a
yeah.
couple guys repping Team GOAT, RGV as well, the Rio Grande Valley. And then we've got a guy, Dustin Salyers, with 5P out of St. Louis. We've got great news. Yeah, great news about that Midwest market coming up. But we're excited to start things off in a new spot in January. That's how we'll start off the season. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our defending DR7 Crown champions. You see there on your screen, high-profile athletes in 8U and 14U. Fourth quarter mentality in the 10U ranks, and 12U was Mike Evans Elite, 15U True Buzz, and 18U Hustle Inc. 405. If you follow DR Sportz and DR7 on social media, you saw we posted our final rankings for the 2024 season today. That stirred up a little controversy, so we might have a couple people comment and let us know about that here. But let's go ahead and get into it. We told you where the Crown's going to be. How about where our first tournament is going to be in 2025? We're headed out west to the Southwest, Mesa, Arizona, January 11th and 12th, suburb of Phoenix, Arizona. Heading to the Southwest for the first time. We'll show you the complex here in just a moment. But Mump, I'm curious, you've been out to the venue and to Mesa, talk with people in the area. What can you tell us about the DR7 season opener?
Well, the whole purpose of DR7 is we're a true national platform. You hear a lot of different other brands say they're national and they're only in Texas or they're only in a couple states. Where our goal is to expand on the West Coast, on every coast. The only coast we're not on right now is the East Coast. So when we looked at the West Coast, the Arizona was one of the hottest markets that's growing out there, where you get a ton of content, ton of competition, where you can pull from California, Vegas, Utah. You can pull from a lot of markets. I've already got some of my Texas teams have been asking me about Arizona, and some Florida teams. So super excited to get out there to that part of the country. When I began to look at the different venues and people that I'd have a relationship with, they felt like the Red Mountain venue was one of the top venues in the marketplace. So we're always going to give our customers the best venues we can possibly get them. It's a beautiful location. Matter of fact, this Red Mountain North is a new part of their venue. They have a north and a south. So we're super excited about playing our flag in the West Coast. One thing we like to do when we go to an area, we like to be there for 3 to 5 years and build a brand and become a part of the community. So those guys has had received us with open arms. So we're super excited about being first kickoff event there in the West Coast in Arizona.
And what do you think of the talent of the West Coast? Obviously, California, one of the premier high school football states in the entire nation. But Arizona, I mean, don't sleep on Arizona, Mark. They've got some dogs out there in the Southwest as well. What are you most excited about heading out to Mesa this year? I'm going to put the video back on the screen there again, because I don't think we appreciate it enough how beautiful this complex is. But go ahead, Mark.
Well, you want to get some of that talent, get eyes on it. Arizona's been no slouch. You have some teams that'll come in there and be very competitive. Look at that beautiful scenery, the mountains of the Southwest. That's a beautiful backdrop. And it'll be a chance for us to get some eyes on that West Coast talent as well. There's always a debate where the talent lies at in the United States, in the country, and that West Side is the best side. You know what I mean? Like Ice Cube used to say. So, this is one of those areas that's untapped, and you know how we do it at DR7. We want if you ball, you get the call. So if you ball out west, you definitely get the call.
All right, so from Arizona, now next up in January, we go back to Texas. Houston is always a great tournament to start the season in January. Last year, we had over 100 teams to kick things off in Houston. Came a long way from the King Classic. You see there going to the Space City, the rocket on the screen. January 18th and 19th, we will be in Houston. An exciting one. Mark, that's your stomping grounds. But Mump, we'll go with you first because we're at a new spot in Houston, Waller High School. What can you tell us about that location?
Well, meeting with the head coach there, man, they're doing some new stuff to their stadium there. They've upgraded their complex. It's multiple fields. One thing you're gonna find about a DR7 event, we want to run all age groups as often as we can. So we're always looking for multiple fields. But the head coach there, they're building a great new program there, man, and they open it, welcome us with open arms in that area. So we'll be able to pull from the great state of Houston. I already got teams talking about Alabama coming up, and other different states are calling, talking about that event because it was such a great event last year. And yes, we came a long way from the King Classic. Shout out to Jalen Milrose and his dad, and the coaches there at KFA. They was definitely the ones that helped us kick off DR7. Did an amazing job to team up with those guys, and Milrose is killing it at Alabama. So we've seen some dogs, and a lot of dogs that just came through here that's playing on the big stage, man. So we're super excited about being back in H Town.
I appreciate you taking the humble route there, Mump, because you could have shouted out De'Aaron King, who's now coaching at SMU, and they just knocked off my alma mater, Louisville, this past weekend. So thank you for not going
well,
there.
Well, but I had to share this. I'm glad you brought that up because King Classic is representative of his dad, Eric King. He had passed away, and we wanted to honor him. So it's kind of it's MLK. When we're going back into there, we definitely want to always keep that in front of us that he was one of the great men in the community. And absolutely, Ben, when you told me Louisville was gonna wipe the floor with SMU, I just said we'll see. And then I texted you, and you was like, "Man, y'all looking pretty good." So we're super excited to be over there in the Mustang family. Shout out to my SMU Mustangs. I know we have some guys that Mark can probably talk about that's playing on the DR7 platform that's going up there on the hilltop.
Hey, Mark, real quick before we go to you, we got to give a shout out to our defending Houston champions from our January tournament last year. We had all age divisions to start things off, high profile athletes. They had a clean sweep in the DR7 circuit. I believe they'll be moving up to the 10U ranks this year. Hope we get to see them. 210 Primal, we really got to see them rebranding from the Northwest Bears last year. This was the first time we saw them as 210 Primal, and they took home the 10U and the 14U championship. Platinum Elite came out on top over Swarm Elite. That was a fun battle on the 12U side of things. The New Orleans Dolphins, always a show and always a lot of elite talent anytime they pull up to a DR7 tournament. They won the 15U, and in the 18U, it was Cypress the Lab that came out on top. So shout out to those defending champions from our January Houston tournament. Mark, Houston's one of the premier destinations for 7-on-7 and football in general. Is this a tournament that you look forward to kind of set the tone for the season and what's to come?
Absolutely. I think it kind of gets your beak wet and gets you ready to really get it started. Houston's one of those areas that's, blessed with a lot of talent in the state of Texas in general. But shout out to those. Listen, HPA is building something, and a lot of those kids go on to be, Friday night stars down in the Houston area. We had a chance to, get those guys when they were with Mike Evans' lead. They decided to start their own thing, and nothing's changed, and they're very competitive. I love the coaching staff over there. Those kids are always approachable, and the parents, just a great organizations. And shout out to the lab. Listen, Paris Melvin Jr. was a guy that I had a chance to see with the lab up close and personal, and he's started to trend around the country as one of those players that you're going to see on Saturdays as well. But H-Town is what it is. It's the third coast for a reason. There's a lot of talent that goes unseen. And when you come to a DUR7 tournament, if you get a chance to get seen by the platform and expose the unexposed, that's what we're going to do at every DR7 tournament. Shout out to my guy Drew Johnson and Nick Stats Gradney as well. This is one of those things that you get when you come to a DR Sports tournament. You get a chance to get that exposure. We're all about exposure at a DR7 tournament, and why not start out in age?
Hey, real quick before we go to February's tournaments, got to give a shout out to one of our viewers tuning in from Thomasville, Georgia, representing Thomas County Central. We've got the chance to go out and check out some of the Jackets games this season and really be able to spotlight their program. It's been a lot of fun. Man, there's a lot of sleepers and a lot of dogs in South Georgia. I'm so glad that I've gotten the chance to go up and see some of those programs because they don't get the love that they deserve. And Thomas County Central is surely one of those defending state champs, home of Charlie Ward, by the way, too, guys. So looking forward to going back and seeing some more Thomas County Central ball coming up later this season. Let's go to some more comments. Jared Martin, Arkansas Diamond Boys, they'll be pulling up this season. Looking forward to that. MBK Raiders, man, 12U. They really showed out in our Dallas tournament. We'll talk about them coming up here in just a little bit. Tyree says Metro 7 Atlanta, DR7 takeover coming soon. I love it. Jason as well, repping the 813 Hawks. We've also got Coach Harvey holding it down for the CM Naturals, baby.
The Naturals always on deck.
Hey, he said they've got some new jerseys coming. We're not gonna get into it. I don't want to spoil anything, but they're gonna look sharp this season. Coach Black as well, Louisiana Purge there as always. So let's go ahead now and head to February. See where we're gonna be in February. We told you about the villages. We'll actually be there 3 separate times this season for the Crown as well, but for the first time in the season, February 1st. And 2nd, you see the palm tree there. You saw the beautiful facilities already, and this was our Davenport tournament last year. Looking at some defending champions from that tournament, this is always a great event to start things off. We told you about the Houston tournament in January that we have every year, but this one always ends up being one of my favorite. Again, another tournament that really sets the tone. Looking at the defending champions from February 2024, and you see some of the elite programs that were there. Year in and year out, that one's always one of our most competitive tournaments. So looking forward to that. But just looking at this, it's become a staple of DR7 month, the early season Florida tournament. Yep. What have these Florida programs meant to the growth of DR7 in this circuit?
Well, I'll tell you what, kicking off Florida is meant everything, man. I tell people all the time, Florida's like my second home. We got a lot of great relationships there. A lot of guys I've seen them grow their program and being a part of them. It's family to me, man. It means everything to who we are today. Those guys, definitely have been a great support to the platform and me and my family. So Florida's meant everything to us as we've been going through this journey the past 3 years. But I tell you, one thing I want everybody to understand this season is the mission of DR Sports is to bring exposure to each and every athlete that play on the platform. You hear Mark talk about if you ball, we get a call. But we're about, getting you exposure, getting you out there. And we're following you year round. That's what Mark and Drew and Ben and all you guys do. That's why Thomasville is on the map, the platform there. So understand, we love having great competition. We want to see this great competition, but we're about the athletes and giving them. That's why we continue. We want to plant our seed and plant our flag in a location like the villages, so we can give you a great complex where you consistently know where we are and know the environment you're going to be able to be in. We don't ever want to take you to some that we're not proud of. So Davenport been great to us, but I think the village is going to be even greater. Being there 3 times, once each month is going to be exciting to see how that goes. And the community is very excited to have us there.
Let's go back to Texas for our second tournament in February, returning to North Crowley High School in the DFW area, February 8th and 9th. We will be in Fort Worth, Texas, the site of the Crown last year, and the facilities have changed a little bit, Mump, since we were there last time, and they look great. Tell us a little bit about the renovations at North Crowley High School.
Yeah, Coach Gabe and his team, North Crowley, I got to give them a shout out in what they're doing on Friday night. If they can hold tight and keep balling, I know Mark can speak to this, they might win the Texas State Championship. But, Coach Gates told me that they was going to do some upgrades, some renovations. So they got new turf fields. They redid their stadiums, the 2 stadiums that we played in and the 2 practice field, and they got the indoor there. So we'll be there like I said, we continuously try to find the best venues we can find, and keep you guys on great services, and always keep the customer first. So we're super excited what Coach and that community is doing with their complex. So it's beautiful, man. As you can see, you got new turf fields. Uh, they actually went from 3 grass fields, turned them into turf, and rebuilt a new stadium there. So it's exciting to see what's going on. Can't wait to get there and play.
We got to give a shout out to our defending champs, and this was our first trip to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2024, back in February. This was the DEF CON Texas takeover. They won our 14, 15, and 18U divisions. MBK, they were in the chat just moments ago. Shout out to Jamil, and then Bullet in the 10U ranks. So that was a great tournament. It's always fun going to the DFW area. Mark, I know that's your stomping grounds there. It's, again, one of the premier 7v7 destinations. These tournaments in Dallas are always fun. What do you like most about the DR7 DFW tournaments?
Well, it's a chance to see these guys that I've been familiar with, from the youth level to all the way to high school, see them in a different, in a different setting, in a competitive setting, because, when you come to Texas, you're going to get the best. And what I love most is when the out-of-state teams, the Louisianas, the Floridas, the Midwest, the Oklahomas, shout out to Sooner 7, shout out to 918 Elite, and Coach Charles Thompson and his guys. They always come to Texas and represent as well. But I could start a whole nother show to, first of all, it's happy Coaches Day to all the coaches.
Yeah.
And Coach Gates and his staff is one of my favorite staffs. Coach Reinhardt, Coach Harrison, those guys over there. I've been real high on North Crowley. Monk mentioned it. I do think they have a chance to go to state. But back onto what we're talking about, those facilities have really changed since the last time we were there. And it's a thing where that school district is really doing big things over there. And I won't get into whatever else they're doing, because they're doing a lot of upgrades in that particular community. But it's going to be a beautiful facility. We had a great tournament last time when we were there for the Crown, and it turned out to be a wonderful weekend. And we just want to make everybody know that when you come to a DR7 event, you're going to get the best of the best, some of the most competitive youth, middle school, and high school teams in the country, not just in the state of Texas.
Hey, we got a defending DR7 champion in the comments, Aiden Buckler. He says, y'all do y'all homework on Apex Elite 15U. We saw him take home the trophy way back at our Davenport tournament. The pride of Mandarin High School right there. Look out for Aiden. We did a nice feature on Aiden. He was coaching up some kids out there, and then went and played in the pool play at the Crown. So shout out to Aiden. This is for you, Monsters Elite 7v7. They said DR7 has to come to the DMV ASAP. I agree, man. DMV has some incredible athletes. So, hey, maybe that's something to think about, Mom. Maybe that's something to think about.
That was, I will go ahead and answer that right now. If I could find a venue indoor in January, we would have been in the DMV. So tell him to reach out, help us find a venue. We'll come in 26. That will be that will complete our whole puzzle of being on every coast. So we want to see all the talent, man. So
next up, this is always one of my favorite tournaments, no matter where it is in the state. We're going to the boot, baby. DR7 Louisiana, February 15th and 16th in New Orleans, Louisiana. You see the Mardi Gras balloons there. Great time and always a great competition there in New Orleans. We'll be at the Estelle Soccer Complex. What can you tell us about this venue? It's different from last year. So what kind of went into picking this venue as the site of this tournament in February?
Well, sometimes you get sometimes they throw you a curveball. You got to hit it and go find something different, and great thing about working with the city there, Randall, with the sports tourism, those guys really like having us there as an event. So SL, we're going to be the first one on their new grass turf. So it's super exciting for the new upgraded complex they have there in the parish community. Just talk with the district top guy in the city, and they're totally excited about having us there. We'll be getting hotels and all those things ready so everyone to come in. We'll pull from Alabama, Georgia, we'll pull from all over. That event is going to do nothing but grow. We had a great event our first year. I think it's going to be bigger this year. So we're super excited. They got 4 great, beautiful fields, and we'll be able to have a great event. So super excited about that. Some things coming in, maybe in the near future, we'll be able to move the crown to New Orleans. So that's just a little teaser there once they get some things built out there. So we're excited about the things that's happening there.
Got to give a quick shout out to our defending New Orleans champions. This was back in February 2024. You see kind of the diversity on display there. Several Texas teams came out, TTG Sportz, True Buzz, and Juice. But in the 10U ranks, it was WNU Pack Boys and an 18U Jack Boys holding it down for the boot. So shout out to those teams. That was a good tournament, one of my favorites. And, of course, that great Cajun food, man. I love it. I always love it. Mark, safe to say that Louisiana, it's always intense. It's always fun. Is it one of our most underrated tournament locations on the DR7 circuit year in and year out?
Absolutely, I would say that because there's also always a plethora of talent in Louisiana. You got the bootleggers, you got the Jack Boys. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Juice that came from Austin and wanted True Buzz at 14U.
He says Juice.
Yeah, that 14U team from True Buzz was electric as well. Just the competition itself. And the thing about DR Sports and DR7 at a tournament, we get through any conditions. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of a different conditions down there in New Orleans, and we always fight through and get it done. Even if we have to revise some things, we're gonna get it in and get it done. You know what I'm saying? Like Mom said, rain ain't never stopped Mumphrey. So this is one of those things that we're gonna get it in. And shout out to New Orleans and the hospitality. Shout out to the New Orleans Dolphins and Coach Ace and those guys always take care of us. When we're down there, and they always have a very, very talented team with the New Orleans Dolphins. One of my favorite organizations down in that particular area. Coach Harvey, we shot him out already. But hey, quick shout out to my guy Bernard Blake. Why not come to Austin, Monk? You know what I'm saying? Quick nudge there. You know what I'm saying? He said we gotta bring it to Austin. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Bernard Blake, man, on the Facebook comments. But the booth.
Well, you know how that goes.
No doubt.
You know how that goes, man. It's just definitely about venues. One of the things we want to continue to always do is to put everybody in a good location, a good venue. But New Orleans is definitely. Louisiana, New Orleans has been one of the great areas that we see a ton of talent with Fuse and his teams, fourth quarter mentality. All those guys have been grassroots guys. We're real big on family and loyalty, and all those guys have been rocking with DR7 since we kicked off in 2022. So I really appreciate those guys there. They mean the world to what we do. We try to help them in every way we can. But man, it's super exciting to see, the link in with the parishes and understand how that works. Like Mark said, I mean, it's always great talent down there. So we got to get that Austin over there so they, show us, and we'll get them over there in the booth to see if they can compete to bring us down there back to Austin. We did the crown in Round Rock, so we just got to find venues. So that's the whole key.
Last tournament in February of 2025 is a return tournament back to Houston, February 22nd and 23rd. I believe this is a return venue. We weren't there last year, but we're at Gosling Sports Fields in the Woodlands, Mump. Were there some changes made, I believe, to the facility as well?
Absolutely. The thing about the Woodlands, when we was there in 2023, they had 3 turf fields, and at the back it was really muddy. It had been underwater, so they've upgraded that. The reason we wasn't there this year is because they upgraded that to turf. So super excited to see the turf fields this year. It's a great complex, and you know what? That's probably our biggest tournament outside of the Crown. I mean, the Woodlands is always competitive, man. I mean, it's a great event. Talent come from everywhere, so we're super excited to get back to Gosling Park. And get over there and have some great things, some great competition. But these turf fields will keep us to be able to get through any weather conditions in the month of February. So, as Mark stated.
Look at some of these defending champs from February 2024. It was our introduction to the Loyal Athletes program. They took home the 10U and the 12U trophy. They came and competed and fought hard at the Crown, too. So definitely hope we see Loyal Athletes again on the DR7 circuit. An 8U TTG Sportz. They took home the trophy. 14U was Chargers Elite. 15U, the Money Squad on last-second play. And an 18U True Buzz, the show, repping the DFW in Houston, to come out on top in that one. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back here for the March tournaments and the rest of the season on the 2025 DR7 Schedule Reveal Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. I didn't realize that was so loud. Hopefully, I didn't blow everyone away with that. My bad. So we've taken you through so far the January and February tournaments in 2025. Let's go to March. March is our busiest month by far. We've got 5 total tournaments just because of how the calendar sort of falls. You know, we're kicking off March 1st and 2nd, and we will be returning to, little drum roll, the Villages again in Florida, March 1st and 2nd. Looking forward to that one. So last year we were in Tampa, I believe, around this time, but the Villages 3 times, as we said. Mom, kind of take us through that decision, you know, to make 3 stops, not just at the Villages, but in the Sunshine State as well. I think it was year 2. We only made 2 trips to Florida, and you said you would never do that again. So kind of take us through that decision to go to Florida 3 times in the year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we only went 2 times to Florida, I got a lot of flack from the teams. A lot of the coaches were like, man, you know, people are a little upset with you. You guys didn't come 3 times. But we want to be able to come and make sure that those guys have opportunity to earn their paid bid to the crown. That's what each one of these trips is about, earning their paid bid. You know, we tried to look at the different markets in the state of Florida, you know, like South Florida, East Florida, and we always kind of ran into a venue issue or something happened. So we just decided this year, hey, we're going to stay put. You're going to know where we are. If you want to come and experience a DR7 event, we're going to be in the Villages in 2025. And you'll know our 3 events where we're going to be at. And, you know, I tell people to go ahead and get registered. You know what you're going to get. So it's all about consistency as we move into our 4th year. The customers know what product they're going to get, and they have the ability to choose if they want to be at an elite facility, an elite event compared to what's out there in the marketplace. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to stay at the Villages in 25. And we definitely want to make sure we maintain 3 times in Florida. I never do just 2 times in Florida. So.
Hey, next up, a week later, it's one of my favorite tournaments every year. DR7 ATL, March 8th and 9th. We will be in Atlanta, Georgia. It seems like year in and year out, Mump, this tournament is the most consistent in terms of attracting teams from around the country and also with the competition. We knew we needed a bigger location for a couple years. So what can you kind of tell us about Atlanta and, you know, trying to find a different venue?
Yeah, I mean, that's once again, is your biggest challenge in this business is finding, when you have growth, is to find enough fields. So where we were this past year, they had some facility issues there in Forsyth County. So we're definitely, matter of fact, I was just at the convention in LA, talking with some CVBs and some definitely sports tourism. So I'm going to go some final things. I have an absolute final location here in the next few weeks that I'll be looking at. Looking at Gwinnett County and some other different things, about 30 to 45 minutes from the hub of Atlanta. So it gives people a chance to go into Atlanta. But we're super excited about being in Atlanta and continue to be in that market because it's a growth market. And, so we just, it's very competitive. Uh, that's probably one of our very competitive tournaments as we continue to grow in that market.
Mark, we've seen that Georgia is one of the most passionate football states. I mean, we've got people from Thomasville commenting on our stream now, and we've seen people all over our YouTube channel with that South Georgia high school football coverage. Obviously, it's huge in Atlanta as well, and all over the state just in general. And, of course, one of the most talented, I think maybe top 3, top 4 states in the nation when it comes to high school football talent. Is this one of your favorite personal tournaments on the DR7 circuit each year? Because it's mine.
Man, always shout out to the A, man. It's always, one of those cities or one of those venues and tournament destinations that brings out some talent from Carolina, Virginia, even all the way from New York. You know what I'm saying? Up top, those are the things that you expect from that. Even Tennessee, and we had Louisville in there one year. It's one of those destinations that you definitely get a chance to see some new talent. Amari Winston, if you remember a couple years ago, Texas commit, you know what I'm saying, to throw that in there. He's one of those guys that I had a chance to see as a freshman. And I knew then, didn't know he was going to commit to Texas, but I knew then that he was uncoverable. And he was a guy that caught my eye the first weekend. Remember, if you guys remember, it snowed that time and we were all bundled up. Then the next day, we came out all of our stuff. But that's a chance for us to see some new talent, some new blood as always. Georgia is definitely a part of Southeast, but it's the hub of the SEC. If you will, between Alabama and Georgia, and it's the hub for a lot of talent, man. And we get a chance to see and get eyes on those kids and those organizations right there in the A. I love the A, man. Shout out to Jeremy and all the guys. They always talking about the A to Georgia. Those debates that we have all the time, Aaron, you know what I'm saying, and those guys, Rico and those guys, shout out to those guys. They're always talking about the A and big up in Georgia. So definitely excited to see that particular destination and can't wait to get back to that.
And we're going to backtrack real quick because I forgot. This was our first trip to the Villages. We talked about being in the Villages in March. So just because we got Coach Lee, we got to give a shout out to Orlando Elite, baby. He's in the building. He's tuned in. This was our first trip to the Villages last year. Look at those defending champions. Orlando Elite came out with 3 trophies. So many trophies. Coach Lee, he couldn't even fit them in all his hands. And then we had the family and 10U. I really liked what I saw from them. I hope we get to see them on the circuit again this year. Bay Area Buckeyes, they won a couple chips last year. And then Gridiron Elite in the 18U ranks as well. And then looking at the defending Atlanta champions from last year, March 2024. How about 210 Primal, man? They came all the way from Texas, held it down for San Antonio, and they really looked impressive. They dominated everyone in that 2024 Atlanta tournament. Savage Longhorns, always love when they pull up to our Atlanta tournament because they bring the smoke with them. Hustle Inc., same goes for them. Grind Factory, back-to-back defending champions at 15U. I'm calling everyone out. Is someone going to dethrone those guys? They've came home with it 2 years in a row and really dominated most of the competition as well. And then you got Next Gen Blue in the 18U ranks. So those were our first 2 tournaments in March. And now we go to the Midwest, back-to-back weeks. We start in Oklahoma, a destination that's not unfamiliar to us. We've been in Tulsa, since we started. But this year we're going to be in a new location, and that's Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, from March 15th to 16th. Circle the wagons there. We're going to a new location. It's going to be Westmore High School in Oklahoma City. So you get kind of a look at their main high school football field here. But Mump, what are we working with Westmore High School? How many fields do they have, and what's kind of your outlook on that new venue in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, shout out to Coach Smith. He's the new head coach over there at Westmore. We've been in Tulsa for a while, and I just decided that we want to move more into the main city where we can get some tours of University of Oklahoma. Got some relationships there, so we want to be able to get some tours there at that Oklahoma City. The great thing about it is they're building, as you can see, their new stadium. It's beautiful, but they're also building a major new indoor complex, and they have several other fields that is off to the side there. So we got enough for growth room. When I'm looking at a facility, I'm looking at a 3 to 5 year growth plan, make sure that we have enough facilities. So enough field so we don't continue to have to move locations. And it's beautiful. I'm super excited about being there, working with Coach Smith and his team. They rolling out the red carpet for us, so we're looking to be there. It's only 3 hours from Dallas, and all our teams coming from Iowa, Nebraska, St. Louis, they can just run right down and be right there. So I think it's going to be a growth event in 2025. I think that event's going to continue to grow.
Yeah, you kind of see the range at the Tulsa tournament last year. Teams from all over. 918 Elite and Suitor 7, obviously local teams. We had Iowa Flex coming down from Iowa, and then Wichita Weed, of course, representing Kansas. And Mark, this is a sneaky tournament year in and year out. There's some dogs in the Midwest. This has become one of my favorite trips. Tell us your thoughts on going to OKC, Mark. What are you kind of feeling, and just overall, talk about the Midwest and some of the ballers out there a little bit.
Man, shout out to Wichita Wheat. Lots of talent on that team. Super impressed. Iowa Flex seems to come with it year in, year out. Those are usually some of the top players in the state of Iowa that we get a chance to get eyes on. Sooner 7, that 12U from last year was phenomenal. My guy Brandon Drum's son up in Oklahoma, man, was really, really showing out. 12U, we got a chance to see these guys at a young age. Early identification when it comes to exposure on the recruiting trail is what we do here at DR7. And a lot of those guys from that Oklahoma tournament got a lot of exposure. It gives those guys a chance to get different eyes on them. Oklahoma is a state that, gets slept on when it comes to talent-wise. But when you start to pull from the Midwest, you could to get some Texas. Listen, even New Mexico has showed up over there in Oklahoma in the past. Louisiana, Arkansas. That's what you get, a melting pot of teams from that particular region that descend. And OKC is going to be good, man. I'm going to have to hold off on wearing some of my Texas gear because I know I'm going to be in enemy territory. But, I'll be all right.
Yeah, especially we'll see the result this week, the way the season's going. You never know, Mark. It might be horns down the way things are shaping up. You never know. But you see on the screen there, just kind of running through the breakdown of where we're going to be so far. And if you notice, January 11th to 12th, we're at a new location, Mesa, Arizona. And following Oklahoma City, we will also be at a new location in Illinois, Edwardsville, Illinois, DR7 STL in the St. Louis metro area. Edwardsville, Illinois, beautiful complex on March 22nd and 23rd, doubling up with Midwest action. You see here Plummer Family Park and DR7 invading the Midwest. So, Mump, take us through that and what kind of factored into wanting to go back-to-back weekends in the Midwest and, continue to expand the brand in that area.
Absolutely. I really feel like the last couple of years, the Midwest market is really starting to grow. When you really looked at locations, you can definitely go up in Indianapolis. You can move further up there. But where Edwardsville kind of sits about 30 minutes from St. Louis, we can pull from about 10 states. We can also pull from as far as Canada, talking with MVP up there. They say they're only about 9 to 10 hour drive, about a 10, 11 hour drive. So instead of them driving all the way to Atlanta, they can come into the Midwest. So we really feel like that's going to be a great market to really start to grow. You got Kansas City, you got Nebraska, you got Iowa, Kentucky. All those teams can pull over real easy. Chicago can pull down. So we're super excited about the different markets we'll get to see. But once again, we pride ourselves here at DR Sports as a mission is to really look at the grassroots talent and to begin to talk with the colleges about the grassroots talent. You hear Mark talking about that. It's because we're a grassroots platform. So we got to continue to stay on the ground to really find the talent around the nation. As I stated earlier, we're the only platform really that's hitting every part of the country. And other than the East Coast, you can find DR7 on any coast. So we're super excited to build to that. Year 4 is really big for us, so we're excited about the new markets, and as well as continuously to grow the existing markets we're in. Super excited about it. I think that's going to be a great event, and someone can get 2 events from us because a lot of those guys, St. Louis, 5HP and 5P, they drove down to the Crown. So it gives them not only an opportunity to earn a couple bids to get to the national championship as well.
For sure. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. Before we get to our last regular season tournament, let's give a couple shout outs. We got Florida Bombers in the house. Hope to see you guys at the Villages. You see there will be in the Villages 3 different times. And, of course, the Crown National Championship is at the Villages as well. Shout out to the St. John's Cobras. Coach Hemingway, what an organization. What an 18U team they had last year, man. They were amazing. I was making the case for you, Coach. I'm not going to lie. I was like, we need to bump up the Cobras a little bit. So I tried. Shout out Kevin Trader, Apex Elite as well. Maurice, Coach Mo, TTG Sports coming. And we already said shout out.
I was getting some texts. I was getting texts from some coaches like, hey, why we're not on the ranking thing? And I was like, we got to see you a little bit more often.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's touch on that a little bit before we go into our last tournament, because I do want to say the majority of teams on the rankings won a championship on the DR7 ranks. So if you didn't win a championship, that kind of automatically disqualifies you. There were a couple teams that didn't win that were impressive that we put in there, but the majority of the teams that you're going to see on there were either champions or runners-up. So that's kind of how we factored that in. And, of course, we only take into consideration the DR7 tournaments. So, for example, St. John's Cobras, they won a bunch of tournaments outside of DR7. They came to our tournament and dominated too, but we only got to see them win one DR7 championship. So that's kind of how we factor in those rankings. We might do a show if there's enough interest for it and kind of talk about it, let you guys yell at us in the comments, because I know there's a lot of people fired up, but we love to see it. That's what we do it for, to generate that discussion. So let's close out March, and it's a return trip for us back to North Crowley High School, March 29th and 30th, back in Fort Worth, Texas, closing out the regular season there. 2 trips to North Crowley High School this season. Mark, we'll start with you this time. What are you most looking forward to about being back on the campus of North Crowley?
Man, just being able to see the plethora of talent that's going to come through in that particular area of the country. The DFW is one of the hot markets in the country now. There's a big game this week as well that'll have some national implications on it. The school itself in North Crowley is really booming right now as far as the upgrades. Mump talked about that earlier. Coach Gates and that staff over there. And just the administration at Crowley ISD has shown that they really support student athletes. And that's what we're about here as well, is student athletes. And we want to help promote those student athletes by giving them the exposure on the DR7 tournament circuit at every stop. So, this is one of the stops of many that we have this year. And, shout out to, North Crowley for hosting us. They hosted the Crown last year and did a great job of hosting us and getting us through that tournament, which was big.
You could have said, you couldn't have just said, you were looking forward to Coach Gates' barbecue, because that's the real
No doubt. Listen, man, shout out to my guy, Coach Gates. He's a master. He's a master chef on that thing, man. And, Miss Gates as well. Shout out to Miss Gates. The hospitality, again, at the North Crowley facility was one of those things that you definitely have to experience. They're going to take care of you when you come there. It's really a family type atmosphere. And, Gates is a monster on that pit, man. And he'll pull up in a minute, man. And if you see the smoke going, it's Coach Gates.
Hey, so before we close out, I'd like to do this because we have a couple teams in the comments throughout the stream, and I'm sure there'll be people watching back after the fact that haven't played in a DR7 tournament or are new to the DR7 circuit. And Mump, we'll start with you on this one. What can they expect when they come to a DR7 tournament? Maybe how are we different from the other circuits that are out there? Because there's a bunch of them out there. So what makes us different and unique?
I think one of the biggest things to make us different is we're highly competitive. And, you have to play on both sides of the ball. You got to play offense and defense with our point system. And, you just can't come in and just be the jump ball team. You got to come in and really coach and really play. And the other thing is with our scouts and our media team, I don't see anyone that's really focused on the actual individual athletes and not all the hype. We're out there, Marc and his team and what you guys do, Ben, and the rest of our shout out to the rest of our DR Sports media team and our scouts for us covering these athletes. And so what you'll see this year, we're ramping up a lot more. We're gonna be going with a lot of live content. So we're gonna be in your face this year. We're gonna make sure you get the exposure you're looking for. So, and that exposure can go either way. It can go good for you if you're balling, and it can go bad for you if you're not balling. But what we want to do is we want to be that platform that we can put you on. And I know Marc can speak to this. We've seen a lot of athletes came through our platform. Nobody knew anything about them. after a couple weekends and our scouts and our team showing them, all of a sudden the national media was on them. So we're about exposing you to the rest of the world. So I think, as the rundown say, competition, content, and exposure. That's what it's all about. So come and join us, man. Like I told a guy today, he said this is, he's looking at a couple platforms. I said, hey, come and get the experience. You'll probably never leave again. So, and then I think the number one thing is we look at you as family. You're family to us. It ain't just a one time transaction. It's about come here. We want to help you out. We want to make sure that you guys are competing and everything is fair. And we're gonna take care of you when you come to the DR7 events. Our staff is second to none. We got a team in each department, man, and we just continue to improve it. Miss Lanice, our director of operations, she makes sure she keeps everything flowing, everything's professional, and we're gonna be on time. I think that's the great thing about it. Expose the unexposed is just super exciting. So I know I'm kind of repeating, Ben, but that's what it's about, man. We've been continuing doing this for 3 years. I really feel like our fourth year is the next level in 2025. All the things that I see that is coming to the table. We got some new stuff that I hadn't even really shared with anyone, some new things we want to do. And once again, remember this at DR Sports, we're all about the athlete first. If it ain't about the athlete, we don't do it.
One thing I love, Mark, and you could speak to this in the platform because we haven't really highlighted, what we've been doing there, but we've made a really concerted effort to cover these kids that we see throughout the season on the DR7 ranks on Friday nights as well. And that's through the platform, through other various outlets and things that we have going on. We've got a weekly high school football show that me, you, and Drew do under the lights that you can see here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So definitely make sure you tap in and check that out. And we just try to give kids recognition. You don't have to play on the DR7 circuit to get that recognition during the fall, but we definitely try to stay tapped in and locked in with the kids that we do see and kind of follow them, see what they do. Youth football, high school football, and all that. So tell everyone who might not know about the platform, kind of what we do and what your vision is behind that.
Well, we're here to expose the unexposed, to give you the exposure that you need, at a year-round basis, not just 7-on-7. And, we've kind of, since we left North Crowley in April, that's been our mission. Myself, Miss Lenise, Mom, you, Nick, and Drew, we've really, really hit the ground running, which has led up to now. You know what I'm saying? And I will say this. I'll give you two examples right here from the DR7 platform exposure piece. And now these two guys in the state of Texas are probably two of the hottest recruits this year. Quentin Gibson from North Crowley played with Wise and Wall Street. Cohen Brown, class of 2026, played with Coach Wise and Wall Street. We saw those guys ball out this year in Melissa, at North Crowley, and that particular team has two of the hottest recruits here in the state of Texas in the 2026 and 2025 classes right now. You can Google it and look at those names. They've been getting lots of offers since we started playing ball in September. But it started in the offseason from them putting in the work in the offseason. A lot of people ask us, well, what is the basis about 7-on-7? How can this benefit my athlete or my child? The parents ask this question. If you're doing it the correct way, you're going to get the repetition. You're going to get, the extra work that you need, quarterbacks and receivers on timing, defensive backs and linebackers on how to move their feet, get in position to make a play on the ball. The competition in a 2-day setting at a DR Sports event or a DR7 event is second to none. We've seen the proof in the pudding of these guys developing in the offseason, and now it's translating to what they're doing on Friday nights. And if you go back, shout out to Under the Lights, we've talked about those two particular guys from now until the beginning of the season. And now college coaches are seeing the fruit of their labor. Those two guys did it in the offseason in shirts and shorts. And like my coach used to say, everybody look good in shirts and shorts, but what is it that you do on Friday nights? That's the basis of what the platform, especially the Under the Lights podcast, is. We're going to spotlight what you do on Friday nights. This has nothing to do with 7-on-7. It's what you're doing in front of us in pads. And we're the type of guys that are on the sideline. We're in the mud with it. Shout out to Drew. Shout out to Nick. You're going to see us on the sideline somewhere, all the way through state. If you look up on the Jumbotron, it's a strong possibility. I get calls all the time. You're going to see me at a state championship. You know what I'm saying? I might have on DR7. You'll see me. It's because this is what we do from start to finish. And then we go back into January and we start all over from a scouting perspective, from an exposure perspective. So if we get eyes on you and we write about you and we talk about you, it's because you've done the work on the back end to be successful on Friday nights. And that's it in a nutshell. There's no fluff. There's no I write about someone or talk about someone that I haven't seen with my own eyes. It just doesn't give the athlete the credibility that they need if I hadn't seen them. We watch film and we do a plethora of research when we go into those things. And that's the basis of what DR Sports or dedication and respect. We're an umbrella of that and we fit all together and we work hand in hand. And that's the big thing about it.
I love it. Real quick, I'll just put my 2 cents in before we put the final schedule on the screen and then sign off here. But one thing I think that separates DR7, the circuit, from other circuits is we make a concerted effort not only to highlight the younger age divisions, but bring in the elite competition. I mean, you look at the Crown and the number of teams that we had in the younger age groups. We had 32 12U teams. And I was blowing up the group chat. I'm like, hey, man, this 12U division, this is going to be fun. Like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time spotlighting those 12U teams. We had teams flying from Florida, flying from across the country to compete in that 12U age group. We had 20 10U teams as well. And then our 8U division doubled from the year prior. We had 8U teams competing at the Crown, too. So it's not just the 18U. We don't just focus on one age division. We've got people concentrated all over all 6 of those age groups. So that's a thing that I think separates DR7 from everyone else. And if you're late joining here, before we sign off, just to recap, we'll put the graphic up on the screen. And this is going out on social media here in a few minutes. So for those of you who didn't tune in, you can see the schedule. But just kind of looking at things, we'll recap and go through it real quick. 2 tournaments in January. We start things off in a new market, Mesa, Arizona, on the outskirts of Phoenix. And then January 18th and 19th will be at Waller High School in Houston. February, there's 4 tournaments. We start off February 1st and 2nd in the Villages. February 8th and 9th will be at North Crowley High School, Fort Worth, Texas. And then February 15th and 16th, Estelle Soccer Complex in New Orleans. Close out the month of February in the Woodlands, Texas. And then we said March, that's a big month. 5 tournaments in March. We start off in the Villages again. March 8th and 9th will be around Atlanta. March 15th and 16th, OKC. March 22nd and 23rd, Edwardsville, Illinois, which is just outside of St. Louis. Then we close out the regular season March 29th and 30th back at North Crowley High School. And the Crown, again, the Crown, not the Cown. I don't know why it says the Cown. April 12th and 13th, we will be at the Villages for our national championship. So big thanks to Marc Henry, Johnathan Mumphrey. I'm Ben Spicer. Guys, close us out. Any final thoughts before we sign off here on the broadcast?
Hey, I'll just say, look, don't meet me there, beat me there. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it all settled. We're going to bring it to the field. You know what I'm saying? And, again, if you fall, you get the call. Winning a DR7 tournament has its value. And we're going to give you that value every time you come and play at a DR7 tournament. And come out, enjoy yourself, the families, the parents, because you guys are our customers and we're there to serve and help you. This is our mission. This is what we do. This is our ministry. And we do this year round. So, we'll see you guys on the field soon, man. Hit us up at the platform.dr. If you need anything, follow us on Twitter, DR7, DR7 on Instagram as well, Dedication Respect. Sports on Facebook, man. We're here to serve, and hit us up if you need anything.
Mom, take us away.
Ben, I just close out like this. Marc said everything about we want to definitely continue to welcome the families, make it a family oriented and fun. But I would put this out here: if you haven't won a national championship in the 7-on-7 space, if you haven't won the Crown, it's the most competitive national championship you're going to find out on the marketplace. As you say, those numbers, man, those are some pretty sick numbers. It's because everybody understands they want to come and compete. So we'll have a crown trophy waiting for the top 6 teams that want to get it in 2025 in the villages. So come and compete.
All right, guys, great stuff. I appreciate everyone who joined and watched and followed along, and we'll see you in 2025 on the DR7 circuit. For Marc Henry, Johnathan Mumphrey, I'm Ben Spicer. Thanks again for watching the 2025 DR7 Schedule reveal show.